more than one thing, you have more than one sentence, one thing, you have two of them. So so far, the problems we solved, it's only one inequality. The only exception is the temperature case that I gave you. It was like, yeah, that was this one. So you may have, the two inequality signs in one problem. This actually is a compound inequality. So when we look at the real life examples of compound inequality, today's temperature, so like I said, high 43 and low 25. Notice that there are two inequalities. So high means less than or equal to 43. And then use the word and to join, then the temperature is greater than or equal to 25 because 25 is the lowest. See, we got two inequalities. We use and to join them. That is a compound inequality. And similarly, you may see the sentence like this. You go to maybe a museum or somewhere. If you are a senior or a toddler, you may get a discount. So the senior usually means you are, greater than or equal to, let's say, 65, or T is greater than or equal to 65 years old. Or toddler usually means you're younger than 3 and below. Okay, so notice that we also have two inequalities, and they're joined by the word or, and or. Okay, I know in real life, a lot of times we don't really distinguish them. We thought they were the same thing, and a lot of times we really didn't care about the difference, but mathematically they are very different. Okay, and means both. So we have two inequalities. Let me call it inequality 1, inequality 2. Usually it's like some kind of a requirement or a condition. So in this case, one of these by joined and it means you have to meet both requirements. So you have to meet both requirements. Requirement 1, requirement 2. You have to meet the temperature less than 43 and greater than 25. So if you have, let's say, 7 doesn't work because 7 is less than 43, but it's not greater than 25. So 7 is not an answer. Okay, it's not possible for today's temperature to be 7. Or you may have 44, and 44, it's not going to happen either because 44 doesn't meet the first one. 44 is not less than 43, but I mean 44 is greater than 25. It's higher than 25, but it's not lower than 43. So that's not going to be an answer. But 42 or 43 will work because 40, let's just say 42, it is less than 43, it is greater than 25, it works. So you have to have two check marks. So whenever you pick a number, maybe I can make a table here. So make a table like this. So if I say, let's say I picked 22, well, it is less than 43, but it's not greater than 25, so it doesn't work. 22 doesn't work. If I pick 44, well, it doesn't meet first condition, it doesn't meet the second one. Well, again, it doesn't work. It's not a solution. But if I pick 42, yes, two check marks. So that works. Well, with or is very different. Or means what? Either or. Or it's kind of like either, a short way for us to say either this or that. So you don't have to meet both requirements. Don't need to meet both requirements. If you meet both, that's great, but you don't need to, okay? So, but in this case, actually, you cannot meet, in this example, there's no way for you to be senior and also a toddler. That's not possible. So in this case, it's either here or there. Okay, so say let's pick a number like say 66. It is greater than 65. It is not less than 3, but it works. It works because it's the word or. So you can, yes, you don't have to have 2 check marks. The same thing, if you're 2 years old, it doesn't meet the first requirement, it doesn't meet the second. So that also works. Okay, but in this case, I won't have like, it's not gonna have a number that is bigger than 65 and less than 3, so it's not possible. But in other cases, it's possible. So for example, for the vaccine, when the COVID-19 vaccine just came out and they not everybody could get it, so they had requirements say, okay, you have, either you are older than 65, or you are maybe a medical worker, or something. So to make it easier, I'm just gonna use these 2. So if say someone is 70 years old, but she's not a medical worker, okay, so this person 70, not a medical worker, so meets the first requirement, does not meet the second, and this person is that eligible because of the word or if you have someone who is a nurse but only 23 years old, doesn't meet the first requirement, doesn't meet the second, so that she's also eligible. But you may have somebody who is not only 70 years old but also a nurse, well, meets both, even better. Okay, so yes, you can meet both, that's even better, but you don't need to. So all of you can see comparing the tables, or is more relaxed, not as strict as and you have only case where work is for this 2 check marks. But for or, see, you have 1 check mark, 2 check marks, all work, all okay. So that's the biggest difference. Again, like I said, in real life, sometimes we really don't distinguish because we say, okay, you can get discount if you're for senior and toddler, right? But when I add if you are a senior and toddler, it doesn't really make sense, right? So you can say, oh, I am a senior and I am a toddler. It doesn't make sense, right? So you cannot use and in that. You can only use the word or. Okay, so that's the difference between and or. We call them both are called compound, but they're 2 cases. So that's why we have these 8 different cases here. To use the graph to demonstrate the differences is very easy. It's not very easy, it's helpful. Okay, you still have to understand the difference between and or. So the last 4 questions you're supposed to graph, okay, for those compound inequalities. So here I'm going to demonstrate, show you like how to do the graphing. By the way, when you have 2 inequalities, you still draw, because it's compound, they're together. So you don't need to draw 2 lines. You just still draw 1 number line for both. The first question, this one here, we're looking at this one, greater than equal to 3 and greater than equal to 5. So when you do that, you first let's mark 3 here and 3, 4, 5 here. And so I'm gonna graph the numbers for greater than 3. So I'm going to use red color for that, blue color for the second one requirement. So the red color, greater than or equal to 3, close the circle and go to the right. And greater than or equal to 5, blue, close the circle and go to right. So put both of them on the same number line. Don't do separate. Okay, so here's the question. What numbers are under both lines? Can you see that? What numbers are under both lines? Some numbers are under red lines, some numbers are under blue lines, some numbers are not under any lines. So the question is, what numbers are under both red and the blue lines? Can you see that?
6 and 7 and so forth.
What about 5?
Yeah.
5 is also included, right? So you can say 5 and above, right? Is that right? Can everybody see that? 5 and above. I'm going to use the yellow color to highlight all these. So remember, the keyword is and. So you have to find numbers that meet both requirements. Well, the numbers under the red line, they meet the first requirement. Numbers under blue line, they meet the second requirement. So if you want numbers to meet both requirements, you have to find numbers under both lines. So that's why I'm saying So eventually, if you don't have a highlighter, this is what you can do. Shade these numbers, okay? So you can do zig like, like do that if you want, because like I said, doing this, it's not very easy, right? But probably doing this, it's a little quicker. So you can also do that. So whatever you want to do, shade it, or do the zigzag line, or, highlighter. So that's what you need to do for your homework. Last 4 questions, okay? So first graph for each one, and you do have to shade or, highlight the numbers that fit both of them. But what if I change the word from and to or? I change it from and to or. Will that answer make a difference? Okay, so let's first draw that too. So red for the first, blue for the second. Well, or remember, do I need to find numbers under both lines now for or? For or, like I said, you don't need to meet both. Or means either or. So you don't need to find those numbers under both lines. As long as the number is under one colored line, you're good. So what numbers will be the final answer? Will meet at least one of the requirements. Can anybody see that? What numbers are under at least one color? They don't have to be under 2 colors. Yes, go ahead.
3 and 4.
3 and above, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, so 3 and above. Yes, can everybody see that? So these numbers, 3, 4, 5, actually, you should also include a 5 because 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, these are under both colors. That's even better, okay? Go back to either or doesn't mean you can only be this, cannot be that. You can be both. So like the real life, that example that I gave you, say, okay, if you are 65 years old or you are a medical worker, you can get the vaccine. Well, if I'm 70 and also I'm a nurse, can I get the vaccine? Because I meet both requirements. It's more than qualified, right? So if you have 2 check marks, you're more than qualified, but you only need 1 check mark. Okay, you could have a cross for the other, but if you meet both, that's even better. So the same thing here. It's not just the 3 and 4, you should also include 5, 6, 7, and above. So it's like 3 and above. So you can see it has more. We include more numbers. Okay, for and you only have 5 and above, but for 3, for or we have 3 and above. Any questions? Okay, so similarly, if you understand the difference, make every time always remind yourself, and I need to find numbers under both lines, but or just under 1 line is good enough. At least 1 line, I should say at least 1 line. If you have under 2 lines, you are good. You're better, more than qualified. At least 1 line. So let's do the rest of it very similar way. So might move a little faster because we don't have much time left. Okay, so 3 and 5. This time I change it to less than, so it's going to be very similar. So go to the left and go to the left. Okay, so and whenever you see and, remember what I said, under both lines. So under both lines, both color lines. Can you all see that? That's going to be a 3 and below, okay? You can use the zigzag line if you want to do that, or you can shade it. So if you shade it, this question, it will be like that. And for the or case, remember, or you only need to be under 1 line, so you don't need to be both lines anymore, under both lines anymore. So that's going to be 5 and below, okay? So it's going to be all of these numbers, okay? All right, so it's very similar to the first 2 cases, greater than. Now, what if I have 1 greater than, 1 less than? So 3 here, 5 here. Let me go ahead and mark put all the tick marks here. All right, so for this one here, greater than 3, again, I'm going to red and blue. So greater than or equal to 3, gonna move to the right. Less than or equal to 5, you're gonna go to the left. Okay, so previously on the left side, it's all have the same directions, but now they're opposite directions. So remember, we're looking for numbers under both lines. Can you see what numbers are under both lines for and? What numbers are under both lines? I highlighted between 3 and 5, right? Can you all see that? So that has 2 colors. Okay, what if we change it to or? Remember, or, just wonder, one line is good enough. This one is a little tricky. Can everybody see what the answer is? One line is good enough.
Is it 5?
5 is underline, but any other answers? As long as, maybe I should just highlight it under. See, I'm gonna use, see, these numbers are for the first equation. I'm gonna use blue for the, so I'm gonna talk about the numbers with at least one color. What numbers have at least one color? Because when I raise it, it may be hard for you to see. I went ahead and color highlighted them. So the pink one, huh?
Would that be like infinity numbers?
All of them, yes. All of them, right? Do you see all the numbers are colored? Do you all see that? Because numbers from 3 above, they're colored in red, and then pink, and then 5 and below, they're colored in red. All of them have at least one color, right? So that the answer should be all of them. So you should do like this, or, you know, highlight that. Okay, I should do that for you. Okay, so this is a little tricky. So remember, or means has at least one color. Maybe if you get confused, they use a highlighter instead of raise the line. Raising the line looks like still cause some confusion. So I'm going to use the highlighter for now for the rest of the 2 questions. So first, I am going to use pink to highlight numbers less than 3. And I'm going to use blue to highlight numbers greater than or equal to 5. And it means you're looking for the numbers that have both 2 colors. Do you see any numbers with 2 colors?
No.
Yeah, no, right? So this case, you cannot highlight anything. Leave it like that and mark it there, no solution. Because like the case, if you say, okay, who can get discount? You have to be not only a toddler, but also senior. It's impossible. No one can be toddler and a senior at the same time, right? So that you will say, nobody's gonna meet that requirement, right? Both requirements. So and means you have to meet both, which means you have to have 2 colors, okay? So you just mark no solution. Finally, the last one, less than or equal to 3 on the left, greater than or equal to 5. But this time, the graph is exactly the same, but the condition is or now, which means you only need one color. So what numbers have one color? What numbers have one color?
3 and below and 5 and above?
Yes, that's right. Very good. So you can shade these numbers, okay? So that will be so you always have to shade them, do zigzag lines, or, you know, somehow you have to indicate your final answer because you have the 2 of them. We don't know which one will be final answer, right? Okay, that's all for today. I only have 3 minutes left, so